Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Nerd Mode On, and welcome to episode 2 of Battle Reports, a video series where I'll be going over a particular weapon in Battlefield 1 and breaking down the statistics of the weapon to provide you guys with a better idea of how the weapon is going to perform on the battlefield. So today we're actually going to be talking about the Mondragón rifle. Now, of course, this can actually refer to 3 different designs that were developed by Mexican artillery officer General Manuel Mondragón. Now, it is worth noting that 2 of the 3 rifles were actually straight pull-bolt action rifles, that being the M1893 and the M1894. Those 2 individual rifles served as the basis for developing Mexico's first self-loading rifle. The Mondragón Model 1908 was a gas-operated rifle with a rotating bolt and a cylinder and piston arrangement. This design is now very common, however at the time it was exceptionally unusual to have such a design during this particular time period. The Mondragón rifle had a non-detachable box magazine and was filled by 2 5-round stripper clips. Now it's also worth noting that the Mondragón Model 1908 rifle was also fitted with a bipod, and we also do see the adoption of a knife bayonet was also introduced during this time period for close quarters combat. Now in Battlefield 1, we do see the adoption of the Mondragón, so of course you do have the ability to have this weapon in a marksman format or an artillery format. This rifle does have a rounds per minute clocking in at 257 rounds per minute. So this rifle in-game has a velocity clocking in at 800 meters per second. However, if we take a look at the real-life counterpart, the rifle in real life has a velocity clocking in at 760 meters per second. So of course we definitely do see a little bit of a deviation in this aspect, and of course DICE does have the created license to do so. Now moving right along to the damage model, you guys will notice that this weapon does have a maximum damage of 40 damage up until 20 meters. Now after 20 meters, you're going to notice a gradual decline of the overall damage being outputted at range. And this weapon does have a minimum damage of 35 damage up until 30 meters. So to put this into layman's terms, all this really means is that this rifle is going to require 2 to 3 rounds depending on if you can couple a headshot in there in order to down an individual player. So of course, it's highly recommended that you attempt to line up as many players to maximize your killing potential with this particular rifle. Now we have established that the Mondragón rifle does require 2 5-round stripper clips in order to fully reload this particular rifle. The maximum capacity that this weapon can occupy is 10 rounds, so of course it definitely does give you quite a bit of killing potential due to the increased damage model that these particular weapons do have on the battlefield. Now, the Mondragón rifle does come in 2 formats like we previously talked about. Of course, you can use this weapon in a marksman format, which does grant you some magnification, especially at those medium to long range engagements. Now, alongside using the Mondragón in a marksman format, you also have the ability to deploy a bipod. Now, since Battlefield 1 is altering some of the core mechanics of the Battlefield series, you guys may have noticed that you're no longer required to initially press a button to deploy a bipod. The new method of using a bipod is a lot more simplistic than it's been in the past, but this also increases your ability to utilize it, considering that you're no longer required to have to initially set up the device in order for it to be used. As of the moment, if the bipod makes contact with any surface, may that be a windowsill and or the ground, of course it will automatically deploy and you will get the full benefits of doing so. This overall system haul has definitely increased the probability that players will utilize the bipod due to the fact that it's no longer cumbersome for the player to go through the lengthy animation, but it also allows your weapons to be more accurate at those medium to long range distances. Now of course, if you couple this with the ability to have a bayonet attached to your rifle, you have the ability to do bayonet charges, which are extremely beneficial at taking out individual players. With the heavy adoption of melee combat during World War I, you do see the adoption of bayonet charges due to the fact that they were extremely effective against taking out individual players, but melee combat around the board has definitely increased from its original standpoint. Now, while a bayonet charge may be extremely effective against taking out one player, this process does leave you exceptionally exposed, especially when it comes down to incoming fire. So it is worth noting, while this process is occurring, you are no longer able to fire your weapon, but you can of course try to evade or decrease the amount of range between you and the other player. However, in the off chance that you make direct contact with the player while using a bayonet, of course you will be granted with a very satisfying animation and you will thrust them into the ground and of course get a kill confirmation. Now, while the Mondragón definitely does have a lot of great benefits, especially when it talks about medium range combat, this is definitely a weapon that you will not want to use in close to long range, considering that it does not necessarily facilitate the benefits of those ranges. So while this semi-automatic rifle is extremely beneficial against humanoid targets, your ability to down them in quick succession is a lot greater than it would be with some other alternatives. But anyway, guys, I hope you found something in the video insightful and or entertaining. But until the next episode, guys, this has been Mo. I'm going to be signing out, guys. Peace.